just a few hours from now, from the time that I actually released this video, we're going to have the last wish raid that should be going on, where we get what is supposed to be the best endgame content in Destiny. And obviously, endgame is different in Destiny than the endgame the YouTube author thinks of when he's told to go fuck himself. So my favorite part of Destiny, raiding, will be releasing, and I've been getting PSN messages asking me if I'm going to have room in my fire team, if I'm going to be going for World's First, how many raids do I plan on running, and the answers are very simple, and I figured I would do a just quick video to address all of these. Now, first of all, I'm going to be at work, and I will not be running the raids when it first opens. Matter of fact, there has only ever been one raid that I ran when it actually launched, and that was the original Leviathan raid. I usually wait a bit until I run my first raid. You know, back on Destiny 1, the first few raids would launch at like 3 a.m. my time. That was back when the global reset was at a different time, so obviously I wasn't going to wake up in the middle of the fucking night to do that shit. I'm fucking lazy, man. No goddamn way was I getting out of bed to do that kind of shit. So that's why I really don't bother trying to be the first ones into the raid. Now, when Destiny 2 launched and the reset was changed to 1 p.m. my time, I was all for Leviathan launch, and I decided, you know what, fuck it, let me just run it. I didn't take all for the first 2 raid layers, and I wasn't even high enough to run the Spire of Stars in my first week, so I skipped out on that until the second week of the raid. So being the first person into the raid has never ever been my goal. My goal is to run the raid later tonight when I actually get home. I figure by that time, the professional couch potatoes will beat the raid, put out their strategy guides, because you know these fuckers, they need views on that shit. Let them spend 5, 6, 7 hours of their day because they can spend that shit, and what they spend out of their lives will save me time and mind. That has always been my strategy for every single raid. Wait until people optimize how to run the raid, and then run that shit on my own and kick some ass. Now, as far as room on the team, as of right now, the only 2 that I know that are going to be with me are going to be Vexed and Brown Power. We're certainly going to be going for that once we're actually online. Other than that, I'm probably just going to fill out the team with my highest light level people on my list. You know, one of the downsides to Destiny's 2 launch being so awful is that in the year that the game has been out, the majority of the friends that I have played with, they've actually become so disenfranchised with the game that they don't even bother playing anymore. Hatred stopped after the horrible Curse of Osiris DLC. Smelly hasn't played since launch. Bike Crazy hasn't played since launch. Junkie actually has a different reason, and that's because there's a new family member at home, so he doesn't have time at all to get in games when you have a kid and a job and some shit like that. Sky is still playing his Japanese cunt punch shit. And for the most part, the other people that I raid with, they're all laid back, and they're like, you know what? We'll just wait until we're high enough light level to actually try that shit. They prefer that I do the raid first, come up with the game plan from experience, and then they join in on later runs when I could teach them shit instead of them having to learn for themselves. So, the short answer is, I need people. And the first options that I'm going to take are going to be the people who have the highest light level. The raid itself says it's a 550 activity, and that you need to be 520 just to get in. 520 means you will not get to the boss, let alone beat that motherfucker, because the boss is most likely going to be 550, 560. 520 just means you can set your foot in the door and barely damage enemies. But essentially, they're going to kill you in seconds. I have 3 characters myself. They're all in the high 530s and can probably get to 540 with some decent raid drops by the time I get in there, but I have a feeling that will be painfully low when it comes to damaging the final boss. I'm going to assume that players need to be 550 and higher to avoid the constant struggle of dying. So anybody in the 530s like I am right now is going to be miserable. 540 will be doable, but 520, oh, forget it, man. You probably won't even get to the first fucking boss. Either way, we won't know until the raid actually launches, and then I will learn firsthand what the raid will be like tonight when I get my first attempt, see how shit goes. So if you're on my friends list and you see me on, and you have a pretty decent power level, we can certainly group up. Obviously, in the 530s would certainly be helpful. I don't know if there's anybody on my list who's in the 540s, but certainly, sure, come along. We'll beat the shit out of this motherfucker. Now, over time, when I power up, and you guys power up, and the strategies are formed by the community, then I can start sherping people through the raid like I have always done. But obviously, that takes a few weeks to get everyone into that point. With the Prestige Gamers clan, there is, I believe, a challenge or a triumph or whatever the case is to have 6 people in the group actually run the raid together. So for that, If people need that challenge, you could certainly join up. In the future, we could get 6 Prestige gamers into the raid, knock that motherfucker out. But ultimately, as soon as I get the opportunity to start sherping people, I will be doing so. I usually do my 3 raids a week, and then on the weekends, I try to help as many people through that shit as possible. But for now, no way in hell am I going to be the first one into the raid. I really don't give a fuck. I prefer to start the raid after the motherfucker has already been beaten. That way I can see what people did, take that shit, and not spend 5, 6, 7 hours myself and beat that motherfucker. So as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit. And for those of you on tonight, I'll see you on the raid, and we're gonna go take Morozov's last wish and shove it up Ribbon's ass.